What's going on, guys? It is Laser here with another weekend video analysis. Thank you so much for tuning in. And for those of you who are brand new and just joining in, we drop one of these videos once per week, usually on a Saturday morning. And in today's video, we're going to actually look at NIO. We're going to look at BABA, the Hang Seng Index, the Dixie. We're going to try and figure out where things are going into next week. But most importantly, I'm going to share what I'm looking at so you guys know what I'm thinking. Just know that I have been wrong in the past before, and it's just my opinion, and I'm here just sharing my thoughts. But again, I appreciate all of you guys that are actually watching, liking, and subscribing to my videos. And if you have any questions at all, don't forget, you can drop it in the comment section below, and I will do my best to try and answer any questions that you may have. Having said that, please be nice to everybody. I know things are kind of at an emotional level. I know everybody's being a little bit emotional. Everyone's being kind of a bit, tensions are high with the price action, and I feel like a lot of people have been let down kind of with this current price action, expecting that this thing was going to move a lot higher. Please just be nice to each other. All of us are kind of trying our best just to make sense of it all, and it doesn't help if we're just being nasty to each other. Having said that, how about we dive directly into the stock here? And we're going to do it by drawing a line in the sand. But before I begin, actually, before we start doing some TA, I want to address some things. I've had some people like on the day they did a share offering and it dropped back below 3. I had quite a few people come to me and said, hey, you were wrong. It did go to 3. And the bears are kind of like cheering. They're cheering they're like, look, we were right. You were wrong. I actually block those people because, to be honest, I'm not here to engage with people that are trying to just claim like I'm right, you're wrong. Like that's just toxic behavior. And I'm not there to defend myself. I'm here just to share my opinions. Okay. And if you're going to come at me and tell me I'm wrong, I don't care. I'm just going to block you. I don't care. This is just my opinion. And I tell you time and time again, I may be wrong. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but don't come to my Twitter and tell me, I told you so. There's nicer ways of going around about doing that. But having said that, let's look at this. Since January, I got really bullish here. It was right around here. I just want to comment on something here real quick. I was like, oh my God, this looks so freaking good. Like it looks so good. And I was like, look, it broke out. It looks so freaking good. And since this moment in time, it took 60 days, but eventually it got a bigger move and it pushed out higher beyond that point. You got the 550, and I did mention that was an important FIB level. We'll talk about that as well. But we wanted to just point out, like, while I was tweeting and saying like, man, something's coming, it did come. So I don't want to take credit and say that I was right, but there were a bunch of people saying like, sell here. This is a really good place to sell because it's going to go to 3. Well, no. And the bears were those same bears who were like, you're wrong for thinking it's going to go up. We're saying it was going to go down to 3. And so it went up. And I didn't go back to those bears and say, ha, you were wrong. I was right. I didn't do that. And now you got those bears coming right back because now it's at that level. It broke that level. They're like, see, I was right. No, you weren't. They were not right. They were actually saying it was going to go lower from here, and it actually went up. And that's one thing that we called here in our channel. You can go back. I've got all the receipts since January. We've been calling this big move. I even kind of speculated that it might be a move like this. It might be. I was leaning more bullish bias, but as you can see, it wasn't. But let's paint now that I got that out of the way. I want to talk about real quick the TA on NIO, and we're gonna look at a bunch of things to try and add all the puzzle pieces to the pie here. And what I think is going to be important is drawing a line in the sand here. So we're going to do that. If we were to draw a line in the sand that where we do not want to see NIO break. Did I do that right? Nope. Yep. Okay. And I'm going to tell a story that's going to make more sense from a stock perspective, especially if you're not like a TA person. This is going to make sense. It makes sense to me. And because it makes sense to me, I'm sure it's going to make sense to you. So let's tell a story. We're at the bottom. This is our original origin spot. We go to the top. It rejects. It's unable to get above. What does it do? Throughout time, goes to the bottom. And what happens? It goes, when it hit the bottom, we get a breakout. Goes above resistance this time. Comes back down, doesn't hold. So we break back under. We get the retest. Are you guys following me so far? Now we're in a similar boat. Where do we end up? And you can see where it actually is planning to end up. Coming down to retest that 366 zone. Now, maybe it won't go necessarily down there, but I think it will. I think there's got to be a magnet at this point, because how the heck could this thing have not run already? Like, seriously. Now, I want to share something. So this is from a perspective. Now that we've gone down here, assuming we bounce, which is where we want to bounce here. We want to bounce here. Is that all it takes for us to get that breakout? Maybe that's what it took, is to come down. It was waiting to come down to this level all along before we get that big breakout. Okay. Now there's a few things. Now I talked about earlier about a line in the sand. You see the bottom of this? We'll use an arrow to highlight that. You see the bottom of that line? We do not want to break under it and form a resistance. We don't want this to flip. Right now it's support. That's the original. There's your bounce. And we're coming in to test that. We need that to be a strong support. We need buyers to come in. If buyers do not come and step in here, we'll change that to my normal color. Oops. If buyers do not come here and it breaks below, you get that retest right up here. And this now turns into resistance. There's your line in the sand, you guys. Like around 367, 366, around that level. We want to see buyers step in. If you're a bull, you want those buyers coming in here. If it breaks below that and then comes up and rejects, it has to do both. Remember, it's not just break below. It has to also come up and reject it. Because when you break such a major support like that, there's going to be that retest. And sometimes it could be a fake out. All the retail in this play, I wouldn't be surprised they do that and they break it back up. So it's important to wait for the retest. If you see that next week where it breaks below and you're like, crap, it broke the line in the sand. Well, no, you need to see the retest. The retest comes in and it rejects it and forms and turns that support into resistance. Then we're in trouble. NIO is in deep, deep trouble if that happens. And there's some things, there's signs that are pointing that we actually are very, very close to a bottom, and I'm going to cover that. But before we do, I wanted to dive a little bit deeper about the line in the sand, because if this does what I don't want it to do, but if it can do, and it's a possibility, and you want to actually know all different scenarios, if this breaks below and does what I said and does this, that makes me want to puke just even thinking about it. $1.29 for NIO. Like, what? If it does that, that could take you down to $1.29. Honestly, if it did that, it would make this entire range. How many days was that? Basically, this entire last year completely worthless. You're not telling me this thing went sideways for a year just to break under. No way. No way. But it's a possibility. Okay. And there's a line in the sand that we know. We know what's going to happen if it does do that. If it does this and it forms and it turns that into resistance, yuck. I mean, you might even, I can paint out a couple of different bearish scenarios, but I'm just doing this now, and I want to get these bearish scenarios out of the way. I don't think it's going to do that, but I want to get it out of the way so I can talk about the bearish scenarios here. If it does this, maybe you get that bounce on at 230. It's going to be, then you break above. Up we go. This would be puke. This would be yuck. I mean, you could even see this, right? And then it would give you a decision here. And if it doesn't, you could just be trapped within this range here again for another year. I mean, like, this is just a really awful scenario. Okay. Now, having said that, let me show you some cool things to kind of ease you guys, because I know some people are like, well, God damn it. Like, that's what I was saying, but take a look. So I switched the chart to logarithmic because there are certain scenarios where it makes sense to go just, and given that we're trying to make sense of the price here. That's kind of cool. Look at that. You had this this whole big move was one move up. It's come down and it's back test. Could that have been the back test? Maybe. Another back test. Okay, so now we have two supports. We have support from here on the log scale. Come in right here. You can see there was a big bounce there. Could that have been the bounce? Maybe it tickles its way down to 360, 366. And then you work your way back up. Could we see that? Could we see that? I mean, it's actually a possibility, but I just don't know. It's tough, so we have to really pay attention to what it does if and when, and I think it's going to tap 367 and 366. If it does this, no fret. It might be a fake out with all the retail. They might do that, and then they break it back above. That would be so nasty. Imagine it did this. Imagine it went down to like, I'm just gonna put 330. It went down to $3.30. How much lower would that be? Another 10%. And people are like, screw this. I'm not gonna ride this to 1, and it V-shape bounces. And it's why you want to actually wait for that to retest. And there's another place it needs to retest as well. Okay, you want to know where it needs to retest? Let's draw our fib targets. We got to zoom in, get the right dollar here. It was what, 14.39. Almost got it right down to the penny, and I'm pretty sure it's 116. Where are we? Where are we? We haven't gotten that retest here of 409. So 409 is a major level, and you can just look left on the chart, and this is going back from all the way to IPO. This is a historic point, and it basically broke below it. We will get that retest. Okay. You can see the next fib target. If it does this too, that's also a possibility just from a Fibonacci standpoint of view. You could see it, 304. That's only if that thing breaks. But what we could see, we go up and we get into that 420 zone. Neil loves 420. It's going to come. I mean, you can see it's been just there. It comes back into 420. And boom. And we're off to the races. And that's a possibility. Let's put this back on the drawing here. And that's where we're at. And now if we're talking about when this reversal is going to happen here, if I were just drawing a line, a trend line, we can actually see when this thing is done selling off. Number one, we're waiting for the share offering to complete. So if you look, I think it was like 137 million shares expected to close on or before April 7th. Okay, so it could close before then. Couple important things to note: 136 million shares will require at least 136 million or maybe 200 million volume. When was that announced? It was announced, I think it was a day or two ago. So it did already 150 million volume and 73. That's already 230 million volume. If it's not already done, it's got to be close to being done. This share offering, I think, will be done, and I think that's part of this selling pressure. And so that's where I stand kind of on NIO. Is we got that line in the sand here. And so long as that holds, we're good. But if it doesn't, I'm telling you. And we flip that into resistance. And I don't want to believe that. Like, there's no way this price action happens only for it to just like break lower. No way. And what this was is this was the big move. This was the short move, the big move, and the short move. The big move, we'll call. I should number them. The big move, the short move, the explosion. The big move, the short move, the explosion. Now, as far as timing goes, if this is the end, if it was this, because it looks a lot like this, by the way. This took 116 days. July. The summer. I mean, we're already in spring. And if it goes out for another month, then you're looking at August. And so how does that look like from a price action perspective? Okay, let's draw this out. Perhaps we get this. Share offering is complete. Boom. It launches off that. Like huge. That'll be super bullish if it closes early. Pulls back again. And we get this move. And this gives us our, our typical 3 to 4 month downtrend that NIO sees. 3 to 4 month downtrend. And then you get that move. So that is something that can actually play out here. Now I will say this. It's been nothing but down, and it needs to give you that dead cat bounce. Just like SPY has been nothing but, I mean, felt like it's been nothing but down. 610 all the way down to 540. It bounced back up. You'll get that bounce. We haven't gotten that bounce yet on NIO. Now, going into next week, I do believe NIO is okay. So I want to address another important thing before I forget. Not only, and we'll turn this back to, it is on log scale. So not only does it look like it's back testing here, do you want to know who's buying NIO? Who's buying this dip? Who came out of nowhere? The Chicago Exchange. For the past 3 days have been buying heavily. I think like around 1 million in volume has been coming from the Chicago Exchange. Whereas on an ordinary day, it's like 5,000 volume. Or 2,000. Like they're just non-existent. They don't participate. But in the last 3 days, they've been participating very heavily. And it's rare to actually see them on 3 back-to-back days. Part of it has to, I think, to do with the share offering, but I think there might be something bigger at play here. Is China actually looking to make like a much bigger move? So let's look at BABA. Everything looks kind of jumbled because I put it on log scale. Without going too deep, BABA still looks strong. It's flagging. I think it's bull flagging, and it's the next move here is going to come right into that 176. If BABA does that, we go to the Hang Seng Index. Now, I kind of had this drawn out, but I do believe that we still need that retest, and if it breaks back above, which is still a possibility, you could see that big explosive move. If it doesn't break back above, but it does come back up and gives you that bounce, you could see something like that, which would be a pretty significant correction on the Hang Seng Index, which you would see a 12% drop. If you look at closer to the 1 hour, you can see it's kind of broken out, pulled back. So I think that retest is coming to that 2400 zone. And we want to see it this time. We want to see it kind of break back above. That would be so good for all of China and like NIO. Now, where else are we going to get confluence? It's on the Dixie. The Dixie is the US dollar. It's another thing that we like to look at. And you can take a look here that the US dollar, it broke through its first trend line. It still remains below its resistance. And it's forming a second trend line here. So there's still a possibility that we see it break below, drop down to what we want to see it drop down into 98. What we don't want to see, and you got to watch for that, is if it breaks above. If it breaks above, you could see a squeeze on the US dollar all the way up into $110. We don't want to see that. That would be very bearish for the market, very bearish for everything. Bearish for crypto, bearish for the Chinese market. So far, we don't have any confirmation that that's going to happen, actually. We got the 1. We still are forming 2 here. And I think we're going to, it's still set up here to possibly pull back, break down lower, actually. So the setup is still there for the US dollar, for us to see it come way lower. We need that for that final push up, for everything to push higher. That is, I don't know if I'm leaving anything here. I'm going to just erase all my drawings here. That's pretty much where it is. If I were to wrap up this video, just to kind of recap everything, we do have a line in the sand, and that's it. That's this. If it breaks, you might get the fake out. Imagine setting a stop loss here, by the way. Breaks under. And you get that V-shaped bounce above. It reclaims this as support. Seriously, if you see a break here, the wisest thing to do is wait for a retest to see what it does, so you know what's happening. But if it rejects that, the measured move on this it'd be terrible, absolutely terrible. And I don't see that happening. Personally, I don't. I'm bullish. If that were the case, I don't think our friends, I keep calling them our friends. I mean, I don't know who they are, but they've got like pretty sketchy timing on when they actually buy. They wouldn't be buying heavily. And let me see if I can pull it up actually here. 1 sec. I'm going to pull this up here real fast. Take a look at this. This is just kind of like to wrap up my video so you guys see what I mean. Do you see the Chicago exchange volume here? It's the percentage. And I think just from like on Friday, it was 1 million volume. Whereas traditionally, it's like 0.04, 0.03, 0.02. You don't get big numbers, or 0.0. They're almost non-existent. And then out of the blue, March 4th, 2.47. You want to know what March 4th was? Ah, crap. Where is it? This is the wrong chart. I was like, what am I looking at? I was looking at GameStop. March 4th. This was March 4th, you guys. Out of the blue, they're just nowhere, and all of a sudden, and notice it's on a low volume day that it happens, but all of a sudden, in comes these people buying from the Chicago exchange volume. And I think the other date was like February 20, what was it? It was February 25th. I'm positive it was February 25th. It definitely was February 25th. Take a look. Yep. This is significant, by the way. All this CHX exchange volume. So this makes me believe that there's something big building here. I've not seen that. I've not seen that much volume kind of come in from the Chicago Exchange volume. Perhaps there's something in the bag that NIO has that we don't know, or it's China, and we're going to see this big reversal. But again, the line in the sand is right there. It's 368. So important to hold here. I don't want to hear from another bear that says, oh, it's over or not. Like, until this thing breaks, it ain't over. Because if it does break, I mean, we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. But you don't want this, guys. We don't want this. We really need to see this bounce. And so I really want to believe that this bounce is coming. So, and again, before I wrap things up, watch for that like quick V-shaped bounce here. They could do that. This would probably get a lot of people, I think. If you get like this big capitulation down, like why sell? My question is, why would you sell if it did that? Because you know it's going to want to retest, not only here, but it needs to retest this 409 level too, right? That level has to get retested. That's it. That's all. That's pretty much, that wraps up my video. I hope I kind of shared my thoughts as to what I see for NIO going into next week. I know it's kind of in a tough spot, but this ain't easy. The stock market ain't easy. And the only way you can kind of get through, situations like that is just being very logical and rational. And don't be emotional and be patient. Let's see where it goes. We'll watch it together. We'll watch next week, and I'll be back next week with another weekend video analysis. If you watched all the way up until the end, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to actually drop any comments. If you have any questions below, I'll do my best to answer those questions. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to actually smash the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button to the YouTube video so that you can actually get more updates when these videos go live. Thank you guys, and have a wonderful weekend.